Eric thought the purple woman odd. That's what he called her, the purple woman. It was day 3 of her visit. She never ordered food, just coffee, and lots of it. She rarely looked up and instead just stared out the window as if looking for someone. Dressed in a flowing purple robe 2 sizes too big, her head covered with a hood. Oh well, he thought. The city's motto was, "Keep Austin weird." She qualified. For a week before, she sat on a bench across the street from the White Wolf Cafe. Even in the scorching Texas sun, she wore the purple robe. The hood covered her face, obscuring it from view. Just after the dinner rush, she came in and ordered a coffee. Eric looked out the plate glass window. Jackson, a street vendor who sold T-shirts, was closing up his souvenir stand. He noticed Jackson looking at her. Her hood pointed his way. Jackson seemed to realize that Eric was watching and returned to folding T-shirts. Maybe she wanted a T-shirt, or the black bird perched on a tree caught her interest. The bird turned its head sideways and locked its gaze on her. Eric tried to get a glimpse of her face in the reflection of the glass, but she seemed careful to conceal it. What did she look like? Her face remained a mystery. "What do you think of her?" he asked his boss, Crawford, through the pass-through. "What do I care? As long as she pays. Now get back to work and quit slacking off." The voice boomed through the small diner. The purple woman was the lone customer until the door clanged and a man staggered to the counter and collapsed onto a stool. He spun around and grabbed the counter to stop. His head flopped up and he grinned at Arik. He picked up a menu and studied it upside down, then let out a resounding burp followed by the smell of yeast and stale beer. "We close in 15 minutes, Eric said. Coffee and pie," the man slurred. He swayed and nearly fell from the red vinyl seat. "Sorry, we're out of pie. I want pie." Fists hit the countertop with a dull thump. His bloodshot eyes squinted at Eric. He reached out for Eric's arms but missed. "Coffee," the man mumbled. Arik placed a full steaming cup before him. The man stared at the cup and then Arik between burps. "Sugar." Eric pointed at the container. The man poured a good portion of the sugar container into the cup. A little coffee with his sugar. Eyes crossed, the newcomer examined the spoon carefully before he decided which end to stir with. He chose wrong. "Hot." He looked at Eric accusingly. The man spun around again, releasing a wee. Eric feared the motion would cause him to throw up on the floor. The last thing he wanted to do was clean up vomit. The man stopped spinning when he noticed the purple woman. "Bet she's cute," he grinned. Eric tried to steer the man back to his coffee. "Sure. How's the coffee?" "Watch this." He pushed himself off his stool and ran his fingers through his greasy hair as he staggered to her booth. On the way, 2 chairs jumped in front of him, but they also helped keep him steady. Even though he leaned on the booth table, he still swayed like a metronome. "Hey, cutie." She ignored him and continued to stare out the window. "I'm talking to you, gorgeous." The black bird outside flapped its wings from the branch of a nearby tree. "Want go somewhere? Get a drink?" Eric moved beside him. "Come on, let's get you some more coffee." Eric put his hand on the man's shoulder. "No, I want her." He pushed the hand off. "We don't want any trouble," Eric said in the most authoritative voice he could muster. "She's mine." The man replied and brought his fist up and swung. Eric staggered and fell to the ground as the fist caught his shoulder. Stunned, he got up and back away. The drunk turned his attention back to the purple woman. She slapped the hand away without looking as he tried to grab her hood. He stared at his hand as though seeing it for the first time. "That wasn't nice." The drunk grabbed her hood and ripped it back. "Let's see what's in there." She slowly looked up at the drunk. He froze. Eric finally got a look at her face. Pale white skin, smooth as silk. Full lips painted a dark purple and tufts of purple hair. But what Eric found amazing were her eyes. Almond-shaped, violet-colored eyes. Everything about her seemed to shimmer with a purple haze. She stared at the man for a second, then removed a lavender-colored stone necklace from under her robe. The stone darkened to deep purple and began to glow. She reached up and touched the drunk's cheek. Violet light enveloped him. His eyes went wide and face drained of blood. He struggled to gain traction and ran for the door. As the man left, he heard Crawford's voice from the kitchen. "Quit the horseplay and close." Eric shook his head and approached the woman's table. "I'm sorry that happened." She nodded and gave him a smile. "You are really beautiful, though." He was stunned by what he said. "Sorry, that was out of line." She put her hood up, gulped down the last of the coffee, got up, threw $20 on the table, and left. "Weird," Eric said. To be continued.